everybody, it's Julie, Kansas City girl in a Colorado world, and this is Flosstube number 132. Today is Sunday, April 13th, and I'll be publishing this on Monday, April 14th. And I have something very, very exciting to share with you all today. It has been a little bit longer than usual in between my this video and my last. Not too much longer, but I think it's been almost a month and a half. But there's a good reason, because I was trying to finish up a new sampler so that I could release it with this video. So without further ado, I'm so happy with this sampler. This is a new sampler from my design company, Hemlock Rye Stitchery, and of course it will be linked down below. This is Agnes Cairnes 1815. So this is a reproduction sampler. I own the original. It was stitched presumably in 1815, at least that's the date that's been stitched on the sampler. It is very clearly a Scottish sampler. The name, also Agnes Cairnes, is a Scottish name. I unfortunately was not able to track down the genealogy for this particular stitcher because the name is just a little bit too common. There are many Agnes Cairnes, and I just wasn't able to locate this particular stitcher with any confidence. She stitched on the original that she had stitched her sampler when she was 8 years old in 1815. So this is a pretty faithful reproduction. I didn't make any significant changes. I did just make a few little adjustments in the where the stitcher actually stitched her name, age, and year, just to make things fit and make a little more sense for the sampler. But otherwise, everything is pretty much exactly as originally stitched. The original sampler is on a pretty fine linen, and it's stitched with silks. So I stitched mine with DMC. There's a reason I did that, because I do think this sampler would look so stunningly beautiful in silks or in like an over-dyed, slightly variegated cotton. But I needed to get this sampler out quick. I was on a deadline. I will explain that in a minute. And I wanted this sampler to be accessible for everyone to be able to pull their own floss quickly, because there will be a stitch along for this sampler. So my friend Karen at Fox and Rabbit, Karen and Bren are the owners of Fox and Rabbit. They do pattern designing, and of course they dye absolutely beautiful, stunning linen. This model is stitched on baked clay, which is a linen from Fox and Rabbit. This is 40 count. I used 1 strand of DMC over 2 on 40 count. This is one of my favorite neutrals from Fox and Rabbit. But anyway, my friend Karen and I showed her this sampler when I first acquired it. It was a good year ago. It was about a year ago. And I showed it to her, and she was like, oh my God, I'm stitching that when you get around to reproducing it like that. I love it. And then I just hadn't gotten around to reproducing it, which is story of my life right now. But anyway, I had shown her this way back when, and then a couple of weeks ago, Karen and I were chatting, and for whatever reason, this sampler came up, and she was like, oh, I wish you had, gotten that done so that I could start that for my birthday. And I was like, I think I might be able to do it before your birthday. So Karen has a big birthday. It's coming up on May 6th. And it was just about 2.5 weeks ago that Karen and I had this conversation, and I was like, Karen, look, I think I could do it. I'm like, I can get it charted in a day or two. I can pull fabric and floss, and if I just like put my head down and really stitch on this, like I think I can get it done in 3 weeks. I got it done in 2 weeks. So it took me 2 weeks to stitch this sampler. That is, how do I want to phrase this? That's probably not going to be typical for most. And I don't want to say, oh, you should be able to stitch this in 2 weeks, because I don't think very many people could. And I don't think I could normally, but when I get like my ADHD hyperfixation, I can do things like that. So I was stitching over 1,000 stitches a day, and I was able to get this done in 2 weeks. And this is, this sampler is 198 stitches wide by 273 stitches tall. And it is 18,515 stitches. So I was able to stitch well over 1,000 stitches a day to get this done. Did not get burnt out on it solely because I was just so excited about it. But if I were stitching on something else at that rate, I'd probably get a little burnt out. But anyway, I wanted to get this done as soon as possible so that you guys would have time to kit this up before Karen's birthday, which is May 6th. So this is Karen's big birthday sampler start. And hence why I decided to go with DMC, because I feel like that is, first of all, it's beautiful. There's nothing wrong with stitching with DMC. It's stunning. But that would give people time to maybe like pull from stash and have the reference of the DMC to know what colors they want to use. This chart only has 7 colors, and as you can see, primarily it's the red and the green that make up the majority of the stitching. So I do think if you can find a red and a green that you really love, you have some room to play with this sampler a little bit. Like, you don't have to exactly match my tone of red and green. If Karen has already pulled silks for hers, and her green is like a mossier, like kind of more yellowy green, and it's just gorgeous. It's going to be so beautiful. So it doesn't have to be like exactly this tone, but if you can find a red and green that you really like that pair well together, then you can also like fill in the other colors pretty easily from there. The important thing is going to be that red and green. So anyway, I wanted to make this like accessible, easy to source for people. And then I wanted to get it out as soon as possible so people had time to gather what they need before May 6th, before the birthday start. And if you can't get it all together by May 6th, that's okay. Like, you know, join in whenever. It doesn't have to be, but that is Karen's birthday. So if you're not aware, Karen lives in Australia. So for the people on my side of the world, in North America, May 6th in Australia is really going to be like May 5th for us. They are, I don't even know how many hours they are, 12, 14, 16. They're many, many hours ahead of us. So I might suggest, if you're in the North American side of the world, maybe starting on May 5th to truly be stitching with Karen on her birthday, which is actually May 6th, if that makes sense. But anyway, this is Agnes Cairnes, 1815. Is there anything else I need to tell you? It's on baked clay, 40 count. I told you the colors, the stitch count. I don't know. I think that's it. I love it. I love it. It's beautiful. I'm so happy with how it came out. And I really hope that you all like it and that you will consider joining in for the birthday stitch along. There is no hashtag as of yet. I will leave that to Karen to decide if she wants a hashtag for that. You know, the hashtag situation on Instagram is not really working out so well these days since they changed how that works. So I'm not sure that hashtags serve as much of a purpose as they used to. But anyway, this will be available when the video goes up. I'll make sure the chart's up, so you'll be able to go grab it right away. I'll link it down below. It will be on my Etsy, which is Hemlock Rye Stitchery, and it will be available as a PDF. My PDF charts include a color chart and a black and white version, and they should work in Pattern Keeper. I model stitched this using Pattern Keeper, but I'll just double check and make sure like it's transporting okay, because sometimes things go a little wacky. Oh, I know, one other thing I wanted to mention, and then we'll move on. And if you have absolutely zero interest in this sampler, hopefully you just fast forwarded, because I've been yapping about it for a little while. But anyway, one thing I wanted to mention is there are not specialty stitches in this sampler. They're not half stitches, quarter stitches. These are full cross, but there is a herringbone stitch featured right here in this border. So if you aren't familiar with a herringbone stitch, it is basically, like, I would look at it as almost like a form of a back stitch. So all you'll need to do is just when you're on the chart, like just zooming in a little bit, you'll be able to follow the back stitch. But what I did was I laid down the red all the way over, and then I came over it with the white. I will try to hold this closer so possibly you'll be able to see a little bit what I'm talking about. But it is a type of herringbone stitch that she used right there in the border, which is really pretty, but that is the only like kind of special stitch. Otherwise it's all full cross stitch. So yeah. Oh, and another thing I wanted to point out, just to point out, this house is not full coverage. The stitcher was really quite clever and did, there's a lot of open space there in the house. So it gives you the impression of a really big house, which I love, a big house on a sampler. And this is a schoolhouse, I believe, not a house like a domestic dwelling. I believe this is a schoolhouse, but regardless, I love a big house or building on a sampler. But of course it can be a little intimidating to see a big old house and think about like, oh, I got to stitch that thing. This one doesn't take nearly as long as you would think because of all the open space on to mimic like the brick of the building. So I love that effect. I love how she did that. And this is Agnes Cairnes 1815. I hope you love it because I love it. Also, I love my frame. I don't know if I've ever mentioned before, I use Art2Frames for all my custom frames. They are super duper fast. Their prices are very reasonable, and their shipping is fair. And I've been really happy with, like, anytime I've ordered a frame from them, I have it within a week. And so because I stitched this in 2 weeks and wanted to get it released as soon as possible, I definitely was going to use them again, and they did not disappoint. I did get my frame quickly, I think within a week. So I love how this frame fits. I'm very happy with the frame. Okay, that is of course the star of the Flosstube. That is also all I have been working on for the past 2 weeks straight. As you can probably imagine, I didn't really have time to stitch on anything else because I was had my head down. I was working on that. But before I did that, I did stitch something. So let's get into it. This feels like so very long ago. I worked on the Witchy Stitcher Nostalgic Tarot. I had been really plugging away at this. Of course I have now I have not touched it in over 2 weeks, but I was really enjoying working on this before then. I had done a lot on the border, and then since the last video, I finished another card. So I did stitch this card right here. I believe it's called High Priestess. So I now have 3 cards completed, and I do not have the border done, but I have quite a lot on the border. This is a 28 count Monaco that I dyed myself. And then I'm using all the called for DMC for the actual stitching. And these cards are very dense. There are a lot of stitching. They're like 4,000 to 5,000 stitches a piece. But the effect, of course, they're amazing. Not all of the cards are released yet, but many more than what I have stitched have been released. But the entire piece is not complete. The Witchy Stitcher is releasing, I believe, 2 cards every other month. And so I think we're more than halfway done with the releases, but there are more to come. I'm very happy with how this is turning out. I hope to get back to that soon. So I also did some traveling since my last video. I went to see my new baby niece, love of my life. She's so beautiful. And I was able to, I took some like small things to work on for the plane and for my stay. So the first thing I grabbed was this Heart and Hand Spring Alphabet. This came as a kit. So it came with the piece of linen and a little charm, and then it came with the floss that you would need, not like whole skeins, but like, you know, a strand or two of the flosses that you need. So this is stitched with all the called for floss and fabric because it was a kit. So I just did the kit. This is the spring sampler, and it was a really quick stitch. It's very cute. I love little kits like this for travel. They're just like really, of course, obviously very nice to just grab and go and have everything you need right there. But also like the chart was easy to follow. It was just easy. You're not doing like tons of fiddly little counting. And I've really like locked in on like what I like to stitch on or the kind of stitching I like to do when I travel. And so I thought Mill Hills were a good option, but sometimes like they're just a little too like confetti heavy or involved for me. So they're not my favorite anymore. So I prefer more things like this. You can put them in like a tiny little hoop, and then, you know, you can stitch on the plane without having like this big, you know, Q-snap or hoop and just be like elbowing people next to you. You can kind of, you know, I can hold it right here and like stay in my space while I stitch. So I did stitch on the plane for that, and I almost finished it, but not quite, but I was able to quickly finish after. And then the other thing I took, which just ended up being perfect, were some quirky Quakers. So I had already stitched 2 from this set, and then now I was able to stitch 3 more. So I bought 2 sets of 3 of these quirky Quakers. One is like, I think maybe Arctic Ocean, and one is just like regular kind of ocean animals, or these aren't animals. What would you call these? I don't know. Creatures, but I don't know that for sure. They're sea creatures. That's the word I'm looking for, sea creatures. So I've got this round, I did the stingray, I did the narwhal, and I did the octopus. And I'm stitching these with the cottage garden threads that are called for. So they each call for a They each call for a cottage garden thread. And it's the way it's sold, you get 2, you know what, I'll show you because I think I have one here. You get 2 colors on one beautiful little floss card. So, hello, there you are. So it comes, you know, it comes like all pretty, it comes all together and pretty, but you get 2 colors to complete your chart. And then when you're done, you've got like 2 cottage garden flosses in your stash. So, okay, so I did the stingray, and I'm stitching all of mine on a piece of, it's a Bestitch Me 25 count, what is 25 count? Is it Lugana? No, it's not Lugana. It's a 25 count linen. And I don't recall the colorway, and it might have been a limited edition, so I'm not even sure you could still get it. But I'm stitching them all on the same linen. So I've got the stingray the narwhal and the octopus. And I've got just one left, and then my series will be completed. And I did get a start, and I'll show you that in a second. And you know what? I'll just show you now because I think those were all my finishes. So now I'm ready to move on anyway to whips. So the last one I have to do is the puffer fish. And I don't have a ton done on this one, but I did get I got a little start. So there's my puffer fish. These are really quick stitches for me personally. Like they're less than a day to finish when I can really sit down and work on them. That one I only got like an hour, so I didn't get a finish, obviously. Okay. Gosh, so much has happened since my last video. It's crazy to think back a little bit. So I went and I met up with actually, I think I talked about this in my last video, so I'm a liar. Quick recap. I met up with my friend Alexis, My Amazing World. Shout out Alexis. She doesn't really film much these days, but she is also busy being very pregnant, and she's due soon. She's gonna have a little baby girl, and I cannot wait. So anyway, I met up with Alexis at Colorado Cross Stitcher, which is very near my house. And while we were there, we picked out a pattern together, and then we kitted it up. So we picked out October House Fiber Arts Garden Sass. And I didn't get fabric there because I was like, I think I have something in stash that's going to be perfect. But I did get the floss, except for I think maybe like one color they didn't have. So I grabbed something from stash, but it's the same like tone and look as the called for. So this, I got this out after my last video and worked on this some more. So I have a little bit more done. This was really fun to stitch, and it was stitching up pretty quick. So that's how far I am on Garden Sass. Isn't that cute? Garden Sass. And then on or around, or maybe the day before St. Patrick's Day, I decided to get out a whip from last year. I love this. I love this piece. Let me open it so I know there'll be a glare if I don't take this out of the shiny plastic packaging. So this is Stitchy Pro's Outnumber the Shamrocks, and I started this last spring and then put it away. So I got this back out, and I got some really good progress on this. I'm using the called for cottage garden threads. Holly, the designer, like curated her own palette and designed with it, and it's beautiful, a beautiful palette. And I think it's just 5 colors, but they have such beautiful variegation that it really gives like quite an impressive look for only being 5 colors. So I'm using the called for colors, and I'm stitching this on 40 count flannel flower by Fox and Rabbit, which is possibly my favorite Fox and Rabbit linen. Flannel flower is just gorgeous. So this is when I had put this away last year, I think I just had like this kind of top quarter done. So I came all the way over and did more border, finished up the words. So I got, I'm not quite 50%, but I've got significant progress in this piece. This is like deceptive. Like it's an easy pattern to follow. These 4-leaf clovers are really easy to stitch. Everything's like easy. It's just, I think it's just more stitching maybe than you first think. Like when you first look at it, you're like, oh, that shouldn't be too bad. And then like you get going, it's just like a lot of stitching in this chart, which is fine. It's beautiful. And it should be like a showstopper piece. I think I was just surprised, like, oh my gosh, there was a lot of stitching in here. So that is Outnumber the Shamrocks. I love it. I will show you in a minute. I did get Holly Stitchy Pros at this year's Nashville Needlework Market. she did kind of like a companion piece to outnumber the shamrocks, and I did get it. So I'll show you that in just a second. Okay, so then I started at a new start. So I love sprouting lupin. This is one of, oh, there's a little fuzzy on there. This is one of her pieces. I love her. I love her designs. They're beautiful. She has a new series coming out in Just Cross Stitch magazine this year. It's a 4-part series, and it's called Nature's Journey, and it's going to go through the 4 seasons. So the first part came out for the spring issue, and then the second part I saw just came out in the summer issue. And when I saw it, I was like, that's beautiful. I think I need to do that. And then my friend Sarah, Big Red, I think it's Big Red Human Crafter. She doesn't Flosstube, but she's on Instagram. And she started it, and she sent me a picture, and I was like, oh, I have to. It's so beautiful. It's just DMC, but it's just gorgeous. And what I mean when I say like just DMC, what I mean by that is you get this like amazing effect when it's just DMC. Like there's no variegated floss in here, but the effect makes it kind of look like there is. Anyway, so beautiful. So I did get a start on this, and I got really far. I did not complete the spring section, but I have a really, really good start on it. So this is how far I am. And so I still have like a little bit more to do down here, but I'm all the way to the side. I'm about halfway done with the spring section. So I need to go back and finish that, and then the summer section's out. This is a 36 count fabric from Picture This Plus in the color Heartland. I bought it like the year it came out at market, and it was years ago. It was probably 5 or 6 years. No, it was probably pre-2020. It was probably like 2019. So I've had this just sitting in stash. I don't know if Heartland still looks exactly like this, but at the time it did, and it's really pretty. So that is my start. So like I said, that's all DMC, but you get like this effect that makes it look like, you know, you're using fancier floss than that. It was really fun to stitch too. That's a fun chart, and I'm really happy with how it's looking. And I don't want to promise that I'm keeping up with that this year, but we'll see. It's like doable. I mean, I think I probably need like 3 or 4 more days and I could finish that section. So like, it's totally doable. I went on a side quest, so I haven't gotten back to it yet. Okay. My last whip. So I do full moon stitching with a couple of friends, and we are really trying this year to be better about actually doing the full moon stitching, because it's like something would come up like, oh, I want to do it, but like I'm trying to get a finish on this other thing, and so I don't really want to put this down and like get out my full moon project. Or like there were a couple times last year where we just kind of like forgot or missed the full moon. So like this year we're trying to really be on top of it, and all we're doing is just trying to stitch on a project that's like moon related on the full moon. And so we're trying to be better about like a couple days before being like, hey guys, don't forget, like full moon coming up. And so this time I was able to actually like sit down and pull out my full moon project. So mine is Plum Street Samplers Salem Mini Moon, and I was able to get a significant amount of progress on this, and I'm really happy with how it is coming together. And I think this could be a pretty easy finish soon. I might work on this again today and see, and if I'm like rounding the corner on a finish, I might just do another day and finish it. I think it's really close. I am using a few of the called for floss, and then I'm just subbing in things from stash to give like a similar look to the ones that I didn't have. It calls for a bunch of overdyes. So that is my Oh, and this is a 36 count Picture This Plus from ages and ages ago, from like when I first started stitching. And I think it's, it might be mellow, but I'm not positive about that because it was just a scrap I had. I I think it might be though. Those are all the things I worked on. And then I did get a little bit of haul. So I told you that Holly at Stitchy Pros had a kind of companion sampler. So she did her Irish Blessing sampler last year, which is Outnumber the Shamrocks. And then this year she did a Scottish sampler. This is Bless You Evermore. And oh, I don't want to take it out of the packaging. So hopefully like I'm moving this enough that it's not glaring too bad for you. And she did chart this one again with 5 cottage garden threads, and they're gorgeous. And I do have to say, I don't want to say I was like the inspiration for this, but I did kind of request this, I guess. So last year when Holly came out with the Irish Blessing, the Outnumber the Shamrocks, I was like, oh my God, that's perfect. I've been looking for something to commemorate my trip that I took to the UK and Ireland. And I was like, this is fabulous. This can be like my piece to commemorate my trip to Ireland. I was like, now I just need something for Scotland and England. And she was like, I got you. So she did the Scottish sampler, Bless You Evermore. It says, may joy and peace surround you, contentment latch your door, and happiness be with you now, and bless you evermore. So I am so excited about this one. It's gorgeous. I love it. So now I still need something to commemorate, like possibly my time in England. We spent the most time in London, so maybe that, but you know, we'll see. I mean, I feel like a lot of my samplers like are indicative of England. And on that trip, I did buy a sampler in York, and I have reproduced that sampler. It's actually it's the Hamlet sampler. If I remember, I will put a picture in. So like, I feel like that kind of commemorates like my time there. But anyway, it's not here. It's here nor there. Okay. So I ordered the Scottish sampler from Top Knot, and while I was there, this was for my like market pre-order. While I was there, I like loaded up on the Night Garden, which is X Stitch the Rainbow. It's their collaboration. They do these about yearly. I've participated before, and I would love to participate again someday. But this for this round, they did 4 flosses from Threadworks. So this was the palette that was curated from Threadworks, and then the theme was Night Garden, and I just the designers just absolutely knocked it out of the park. I think the designs are so good. They're just all so good. This palette, I think really like the palette and the theme really spoke to people, and they were able to do something really beautiful. And I just love it. So the card that comes with the floss says, it's not coming out. It says, Threadworks Night Garden palette, 20 plus designers have created Night Garden themed pattern, no larger than 60 by 60 stitches, using the same palette of 4 flosses. So these are the ones that I have so far, but these are not all. Trust me, these are not all that I'm getting. I'm getting more, but these are just the ones I grabbed like for the first round. So I got the Tiny Modernist one. I love this little moon. I got the one from Nuri at Shaded Stitchery. I love this one. This is the one that'll probably stitch up the fastest. It's not like so dense as some of the other ones. I couldn't resist this one from Counting Puddles. I think I hate backstitch, if I'm being honest, but I think it's just, it's too good. It's too good. I'm going to suffer through that backstitch because it's too good. I hate to play favorites, but this might be my favorite. I love the designs that people came up with. So many of them are my favorites, but this might be like my favorite. This is Bindi Stitchy. This one is Stargazing, and I just love, oh, I love this one. And Michelle actually created a border. So if you go to the Facebook group for X Stitch the Rainbow, you can find files. She created a border to where you can lay out several of these in different configurations, and you can stitch them all on one big piece, which normally I'd be like, I don't know. But like for some reason with this one, with this theme and everything, like it's really speaking to me. So I'm pretty sure that's what I'm gonna do. I just need to pick my fabric and then decide on my layout. And I think I'm gonna stitch them all on one big piece. Okay, we're not done yet. I also got Holly Stitchy Prose's contribution. I love this. And last but not least, I did get Abby at Top Knot Stitcher. I got hers as well. It's so cute. And like I said, I'm getting more because like the one from Carriage House Sampling, the one from Kathy Barrick, there was I still need to get the one from Fox and Rabbit. I think it was sold out, which is why I didn't get it in this round. There's more. There's Arctic Design. I need her little topiary bunnies. They were sold out. I'm not trying to forget anybody. I promise. Oh, Pansy Patch. I really like her. Like there's still more I need to get. There's more. They're all really good. So go check that out. You can order those from several places, but I recommend Top Knot Stitcher because she's one of the creators who like puts the whole thing together, and she kind of has like special little exclusive goodies. I believe there's a thread keep and a needle minder that you can only get from her. There's stickers. I forgot Abby did throw in stickers with my order, I think because I ordered so many that she threw in some stickers for me, but I've already put them on my water bottles, so I don't have them right here. But yeah, I recommend Top Knot Stitcher for that, just because like she's got it all. So, okay, that is all the stitching. If that is all you are here for, you can click off now, and I'm going to move on to books. So, because it's been almost like 6 weeks since my last video, I have a lot of books, and while I was stitching on my little Scottish sampler, I was just listening to audiobooks. So like, you know, I was for whatever reason, I wasn't like really watching like Flosstube or like TV. I was really just listening to books and just stitching. So I really have listened to a lot of books, and I've read a lot of books, but yeah, there's a lot, but I'm not going to hit every single one because it's too many, and I'm going to try to like really go through these quickly. But let me mention now, my Goodreads profile is linked below if you want to see what I've been reading, what I've rated things. There are absolutely books that I do not talk about, like for various reasons, usually not anything really exciting. Like if when I have like a ton of books to talk about, if I've like reread something, I don't usually tend to talk about it on my video because it's like, I've already talked about this book in the past, you know? So like, I've been rereading the Throne of Glass series, but I've talked about that before. So I don't like, you know, recap each book as I go through. So, sometimes it's like a reread. Sometimes it's maybe a book I just kind of felt about, like maybe it was just an average, like 3-star kind of read. And I didn't hate it, but I didn't really love it. So I'm like, do I really even feel like going into that? So yeah, if you're really curious about like every book I've read, go check my profile. They're all on there. They're all there. But for the sake of this video, because there are so very many, I'm only going to talk about books that I actually have here physically, so that I don't have to edit a bunch of book covers in. And so that means that I'm not going to talk about some things I read on KU that I would have loved to talk about, but I'm just not going to do it today. So again, you can look at my Goodreads profile if you're curious. But here's what I've read. Here's what I've read that I have, that I own. So this is Sorcery and Small Magics by Mega Doogie. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is an adult fantasy book. It's not a romance. Like, it's not my typical, like, I do read fantasy, but I usually am reading romantic fantasy. So this one's a little bit more just like general fantasy, but there is a little bit of romance in this book, and I think that's maybe why I was entertained. But this was a really cute book. I really did enjoy this one. How to describe it, I'm not entirely sure. It's kind of its own unique little world that's like in our world, that feels of our world, but like if our world had a little bit of magic. And there are these two like kind of rivals at this school or university, and they end up having to like team up for a project, like a class thing, and they have to learn to work together. And before this, they've just been antagonizing each other, and now they have to actually like partner up. And so it's like a, you know, little crotchety, little grumpy sunshine. It was really cute. I did have a good time with that one. But also a little bit like forgettable in that I can remember a couple of like plot points, but I couldn't really tell you much about that book now that I've read it 6 weeks ago. Okay, I am trying to work through Elsie Silver, her whole backlist. This is her first series. It's the, is it Chestnut Springs? No, Chestnut Springs is her second one, which is super popular. This is Gold Rush Ranch. But I heard about her with her Chestnut Springs series, which is flawless, heartless, powerless, reckless, hopeless. I get them all mixed up. Like I can never remember which comes in which order. But I read the first 2 books in that series after seeing them recommended, and I loved them. I loved them. And then I was like, okay, I've read 2 books by this author that I've just like ate up, like just breezed through them. They're really good. I was like, I need to go read everything. And so I decided to just like go back to the beginning. So you do not have to read these in any kind of order, but this series, like a couple of the characters in this series like make little cameos, make little appearances in the next series. And so I thought I'll just, you know, I'll go back to the beginning. So this is the second book in the Gold Rush Ranch series, and I love Elsie Silver. So she writes contemporary romance, like no fantasy, no magic. This is real world. But they are ranchers in Canada. So they are, you know, a little bit cowboyish, but not really because it's Canada. So, but they like, you know, they race horses, or they raise horses and cattle, things like that. So, anyway, this is the second book. I really liked the first book. I loved the second book. I ate this book up. Love it. I love her writing. It is just so readable. Like it's so easy to read. Like you don't have to like get used to the cadence or anything. You can just like, or for me personally, I can just pick these books up and just like plow through them. I can read them so fast. But I loved this book. Super grumpy, closed off hero, and like a heroine with a heart of gold, and she like finally like cracks through and breaks through his shell, and I loved it. I loved it. I love Elsie Silver. I will be continuing on with this series so that I can get back to the Chestnut Springs series. Okay, this was like a really random book that I picked up that I like didn't have high hopes for at all, but ended up loving. So this is Cross My Heart by Roxy Sloan. It's kind of like a dark romance. But what caught my attention about this is it's set in Oxford, and I was like sold, but I really thought I never hear anyone talk about this series. So I thought it's probably not very good. I'm probably going to be really like underwhelmed, but actually this was like thoroughly entertaining, unhinged for sure, but like in a fun way, to where I just had a good time with it. It is definitely dark, and it is very spicy, and the spice hits like shockingly quick in this book. And it's really short. It's like 250 pages. So like super easy, quick to read. I already have the second book, and then I think the third book is coming out in May. So really soon. But yeah, I had a blast with this. It was fun. I mean, was it like super high literature? No, not at all. But it was a good time. All right, I read Daydream by Hannah Grace. I think I'm done with this author. This is contemporary romance as well. She is super duper popular. Her first book in this series, Icebreaker, went viral, so popular. I don't know if I'm just too old, but like the Gen Z-ness of these books, like I can't do it anymore. Like they're good, they're fine. Like I have fun. I have a good time reading them, but I'm also like, when I'm done, I'm like zero desire to read them again. And this one honestly like got a little bit boring. This is the third book in the series. And I had seen from some people I watch on YouTube, like that review books, that this was their favorite, that they loved this one so much. So I actually had like pretty high hopes for this. So I liked Icebreaker okay. And then the second book, I can't even remember what it's called right now. I can see the cover, but I can't remember. I actually really like the second book, so Wildfire. And so then I heard this one was even better, so I was really excited, and then I was just really let down by this one. Like, it was fine. It's fine. I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I have been underwhelmed by all of them and have zero desire to reread them. And like I said, they get a little Gen Z for me, like very heavy on like Taylor Swift references as well. It's just not my vibe. It's not my vibe. So I think I'm done. I think a fourth one is coming out, and like I'm just not gonna bother. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not. Like, if you loved like Icebreaker, like I love that for you. I actually had a lot of fun with that book in most of it, but there were parts of that book that I really did not like. Okay. So then another author that I have heard is just, oh my God, so amazing. So I was like really excited about this one. Next of Kin by Hannah Bonham Young. This is another author that I think I'm done with because this is the second book I've read from this author that, again, like super viral, super hyped up. And then I read it and I was just like, yeah, it's okay. Like, I don't know. This one, I know what I did not like about this book, but there were aspects I really enjoyed. But what I didn't like about this book is, and what I noticed about the last book I read from this author, which was Out on a Limb, that is also very well loved, like beloved books. These are very low stakes. I need more drama. And I realized that's what I didn't like about Out on a Limb or this one, is that like there's not a lot of reason the characters shouldn't get together. And then like they kind of drag their feet for most of the book before they do get together. And then you're like, yeah, but like there's not a lot of conflict or like third act breakup, which I think a lot of people would find very comforting and entertaining and would really enjoy, like a really low stakes like romance. But I need more. And so I was just bored. And Out on a Limb was like so hyped up, and it was like good. It was good, but I was like, is it over yet? I'm done. I'm bored. And same with this. Like, there were aspects I really enjoyed. I think she's a good writer. I really do. And I see why these are like beloved all-time faves for people. But for me personally, I'm like, I'm bored. So I think I'm done. Unfortunately, I do own one more book from this author, so I do have to get through one more. Just because I have it, I'm gonna read it, but I'm not buying more from her. And it's not to say like this is a bad book. It's not. It's just I was bored. It was a little bit boring for me. So I gotta read one more. I'm looking at my bookshelf. I can't remember what it is. Oh, Next to You is the one I need to read. And then she just had a new one come out, and I was like, no. I'm not doing it. I'm not getting it. Now a book that did not bore me. My Queen, Katie Robert. Katie Robert, the gift you are to the world. Katie Robert cranks these books out, and like, God bless them for it. So this is like the 7th or 8th book. I don't know. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the 7th book in the Dark Olympus series. And the 8th book just came out or is just about to come out. So I was like, oh, I better like get caught up, because I buy them as soon as they come out. So these are these are not works of art. They're really not, but they're easy to read and they're fun and they're super spicy. But they all have like a pretty loose plot. But they feature like important people in a modern day Olympus. And there's a little bit of magic in the world, but in general, the people are not magical. They're just normal people in power. And there's scheming and manipulation and murder and lots of hookups. Everyone's queer, like everyone's bi or like poly or like everything. Like they're non-binary, like it's all here. It's all here. I appreciate the diversity. I love the diversity. And they're hot. They're hot. And I love these books. And I will buy and read every single one. And they're all 5 stars. In my heart, they are all 5 stars. So, okay, I read Pivot, Declaration on the Rights of Magicians by H.G. Perry. This is just adult fantasy, not romance, just fantasy. And this one was a miss for me. And you can see it was a chunker too. So I read The Magician's Daughter by this author and I really, really, really loved it. And so I went in just like really wanting to love this one. It has such a cool premise. It sounds really cool. But I was so bored. Oh my God, I was bored. And I didn't even realize I was bored at first because the writing is really beautiful. So I was just like vibing, like reading. I was listening to it. So I'm like listening, I'm vibing. And then I think I hit like 40% and I was like, nothing has happened in this book. And then I started to get really bored and really annoyed with this book because I was like, nothing is happening in this book. And then I read the reviews and it does not have it has very mixed reviews, like mostly bad reviews. A couple of people loved it, but like mostly people were like, this wasn't it. And I was like, okay, I feel validated. And people were just like, it's really, really, really boring. And there's like some weird aspect to it. So the book features like, it's historical, the Age of Enlightenment. It's like the French Revolution, as well as like the fight for freedom in Saint-Domingue and Britain like trying to decide if they're going to outlaw slavery. And it's like all this stuff, like these historical things that happened. Liberties are taken, but like it's like also, but what if there was magic? And like so you're like on like you're in the Caribbean, like with like plantation slave workers, or enslaved people, and you're getting their story, but like then you're in Britain and they're like, should we abolish slavery? Like it's probably bad, but oh no, what are we gonna do about like the money that we're making? And then like you go to France and they're like off with her head, and it's just like all this stuff happening, but then there's like a magical element. It's very odd. And it's like when I was reading the reviews, people were like, slavery was like a bad enough situation. Like, why did we need to add like a whimsical magical element to it? And I was like, yeah, why? And so like it was really like it was researched. You could tell the author like really, really, really researched this stuff, but it was just very odd. The tone was odd and nothing happened and it was boring. So no, I didn't like it. Okay, long story short, I don't like that. You know what I did like though? Oh my God. I loved Lost and Lassoed by Lila Sage. This is a 3rd book in a series. I've loved Rebel Blue Ranch is the series. Rebel Blue Ranch. These are cowboys and ranchers in Wyoming, not Canada, but Wyoming. I love the first 2, but this 3rd one, I've been looking forward to this couple. Like they're teased in the 1st and 2nd book, but they like hate each other, but you're like, there's something there. And it's been teased and then now like, here's their story. So like, they don't just like, kind of not like each other. Like they hate each other. They can't be like in the same room without just snipping at each other and swiping at each other. Like they really don't get along, but of course they fall in love. But anyway, I was just really looking forward to this book and I loved it. It was so good. I ate this book up. I loved this book. And I really enjoyed the first two, but like, this one was the best by far. And a fourth one's coming out like within the next few weeks, so I can't wait for that. So loved, loved, loved. I definitely recommend that series. We're almost done. So I bought this book like a year or so ago, and then I never heard anyone talk about it after that, ever. I've never heard a soul talk about this book. I bought it because it was really pretty. It has sprayed edges. You know, I think it like, oh, I mean, look at it. It's gorgeous. I think it could have been like the next big thing, but then nobody talked about it. It's a really interesting, like, so it's like a high fantasy, some romance, but it's set, it's a dark adventure fantasy. And it's set in like its own world, but it's heavily inspired by Korean culture, which the author is Korean. So, I actually was really entertained by this book. I had a good time. It's like a heist, found family. I was reading a review on Goodreads and someone called it like budget Walmart Six of Crows. And I was like, okay. Like once you see it, you're like, yeah, okay. Like make it Korean instead of like Russian, but otherwise like it's very Six of Crowsy. But yeah, I had, it's just a fun like heist fantasy, and I had a really, really fun, good time with the first one. So I went ahead and read the second one, and I was a little bit less like enthralled, with the second one. Like it was still entertaining. Like I read it. It was fun. But now there's another one coming out, and I'm like, I don't know if I care enough to like, you know, like I'll keep an eye out for it at the library, and like if they get it on audiobook, I'll probably read it, but I'm not like rushing out to try to like keep up with this series. But it was fun. I had a good time with it. I'm not saying it's a bad series. It just wasn't like good enough to like hold that place in my heart. But I mean, gosh, it's beautiful. The art is so beautiful, but I don't think I'm even going to keep this book, unfortunately. There was some fun, like twisty turny, you know, reveals and stuff. It was a good time. But have you heard anyone talk about that book besides me? Because I've never heard anyone mention that book ever. All right. I finally read Serpent in the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. I've been wanting to get to this series forever, and I finally did, and I absolutely loved this. So this is like a dark romantasy. There are vampires and magic, and there is a human woman who has been like fostered by the vampire king. He's adopted her, and he's trained her, and there is like this big fancy like vampire competition going on where most people like don't survive the competition, and she is entered in as a human and is like fighting for her life, trying to win the competition so she can get a gift from the god Nyaxia, who is like sponsoring the competition. And her wish, I think, is to basically be made like immortal like a vampire. So while she's there in the competition, there's a dark, mysterious, broody man who, you know, there's a little something there. So, obviously they have a little romance going on, but there are betrayals, there are secrets, there are things that come to light, and the last bit of this book is like a ride. I mean, the whole book is fun, is very entertaining, but like the last bit of this book is like, whoa. Like things happen that I would not have expected to happen in a first book in a series. Like it was like stuff that you might see in a second or third book was like, they were just getting right to it. In the first book, I was like, okay, now, all right. Yeah, that was my head I hit there. So anyway, I loved it. I had a blast. I'm so excited. I thought I was going to love it, which is why I bought it. And I did. And I cannot wait. I'm reading the little novella, Six Scorched Roses. And then as soon as I'm done with that little novella, then I'm jumping into the second book in this. All right, last book to talk about. And by the way, if you're still here, I should have mentioned this earlier. I got a lot of comments about my ode to Joanna Lindsey. So these were the first historical romance books that I read when I was much too young. I read these. My mom had everyone, and I like raided her collection summers home from school in between like 7th and 8th and 9th grade. I read like every book from Julie Garwood, Johanna Lindsey, Judith McKnight. Oh, who else? Like but these were my favorites. These were my favorites. But I love the Fabio artwork, and Joanna Lindsey like launched his career, made him super famous. He's not on all of her books, but he's on like a number of them. And I started like collecting them. Ironically, I think, you know, Fabio's a little bit of a goofy character, but like now I don't know that it's that ironic. Like I really think they're beautiful. And so I'm trying to rotate and like put different ones on feature like for each video. So like these are some older covers these were like pre-Fabio days. But this is a classic Fabio cover right here, isn't it? They're just so beautiful. Anyway, I got a lot of comments about those, and a lot of you like appreciated the walk down memory lane. But I do collect these. I don't pay more than like $2 for them. I just find them at the thrift store. Like it's kind of something, it's always fun to have something like you're hunting for when you go to thrift stores. And so that's my thing. I always go look for like old historical romance like books like this. I have almost every single one. I think there's like 3 I'm still on the hunt for, but yeah, that's my collection. So anyway, okay, last book to talk about. So Kennedy Ryan, contemporary romance author. Kennedy Ryan, she is so talented. She is such an amazing writer. So this is the second book in the Skyland. Is it called like Skyland something? Something Skyland. I don't know. Maybe it's not in here. It's just called the Skyland series. So the first book was called Before I Let Go, and it was so good. God, that book's good. And this is the second one. This Could Be Us. And then the third book is coming out in May. I can't remember the title of it, but it's a group of these 3 best friends, and it's like their stories, and they're just like their friendship is so special and like beautiful. Like the first book I was crying over the friendship more than like the sad stuff that happened, because it's just like they're there for each other and they support each other, and I love it. And then of course like the romance, like Kennedy Ryan writes romance that is like has you all up in your feels. So like they're so good. They're so good. So this is the second book, which follows Soledad and her story, and it was phenomenal. I did like the first one a little bit better, which I think is an unpopular opinion, because I think a lot of people like this second book even more. I loved it, but I think I like the first one a little bit more. But I am so excited about the third book that's coming, because it's like the single childless auntie Hendrix in the friend group, and she's like, I don't need a man. I don't want a man. Like, she's very independent and like such a boss. And I think, you know, she's gonna meet a man who like, you know, sweeps her off her feet and changes her whole perspective. And I'm really excited for her book. She's really hysterical in these 2 books. So anyway, yeah, I'm really excited for that. I do highly recommend Kennedy Ryan. She is like one of the best in the game right now, for sure. So, okay. That's it. That's all of it. Okay. Thank you for watching if you made it this far, like always, and I will see you next time.